All right, so the title of this video is every autism diagnosis is fake. Now, I know that's a crazy title, but I was recently diagnosed with autism, and I was actually kind of unhappy with how the diagnosis is given. And I think a lot of autistic people might relate to this video and understand the frustration. And so I just want to kind of go over a couple problems that maybe aren't shown on social media. I'm just going to share my perspective on things. And yeah, let me know your thoughts. The goal here is to push the conversation forward. So I believe, so I'm not saying autism is fake with the title of the video. I have autism and it's very real and present in my life. But what I have an issue with is the terminology of low functioning, high functioning, right? And the level 1, 2, and 3, because there's so much that is left out. You know how they say like autism is a spectrum? I just feel like there's a lot that's on that document that doesn't get shown. So let me explain what I'm talking about. In my lived experience, as someone recently diagnosed with autism, there are times where my nervous system is very dysregulated, and there are other times where my nervous system is more regulated, and that's like good, right? And the amount of support required, I think, looks very different depending on the state of my nervous system. And what's interesting, though, is going into the autism testing, I didn't know I had autism. And so that diagnosis doesn't really show 15 years, 25 years of a dysregulated nervous system. So when I get my autism results back, it says low support. But my lived reality is I've gone 25 years, we'll say 15 years of a dysregulated nervous system. So what's the damage of living 15 years of your life with a dysregulated nervous system, right? And that's me. And so what is a dysregulated nervous system? It's different for everyone, but for me, it's a ton of chronic pain. I have nerve pain. The reason I'm throwing the number 15 years is that's when my pain started. 15 years ago, I had really bad nerve pain in my pelvis, and it's a tight pelvic floor. And as I got older and life got more complex, my issues got worse and worse, and the chronic issues stacked. And so the issues I started to have is I have a rib that digs into my sternum and it hurts really bad. It's chronic, it's constant. I have irritable bowel syndrome. So eating foods is very sensitive. And my diet is constantly shrinking and changing, and it's an event. Every meal is an event to try to get my stomach right. I have peeing urgency because of the pelvic floor. I pee all the time, every 15 minutes, and it's very intense and it can hurt. So I guess what I'm trying to articulate here is there's a lot of chronic issues that have stacked in my body that are physical and real that greatly disrupt the quality of my life, to the point where I used to break my knuckles over the pain in my body. I didn't know how to process it or handle it. Living life 15 years with a dysregulated nervous system has an effect, and that is the state that my body is in. And then I get a label that says high functioning, and the problem is I wasn't even functioning. There's the physical burden of a nervous system that's fried, the physical muscle tension, tightness, bones digging into other bones, muscles pulling on nerves, and then the sensitivity of the nervous system. Very simple things can make me completely not digest a meal. So my sensory stuff is heightened to an extreme level, and very volatile. And that makes me pretty much disabled. I had to quit a job because of the pain. I had to drop out of school. And yeah, I guess what I'm trying to articulate here is that if the paperwork fails to show what does a person look like living 15 years of a dysregulated nervous system. So there's that. That would be nice if the paperwork showed that, because usually people get this paperwork so they can show it to family and be like, look, this is the diagnosis of so-and-so. This is how we can help so-and-so, and this is the situation. It would be nice if it says this is the situation they're in and the dysregulation they're experiencing, and the intensity of it. So yes, they're high functioning, but when they're low functioning, or I guess when their nervous system is overloaded, they can also be low functioning. So I know there's some nuance to this, but I really think it matters, because that same paperwork for some people will be shown to employers for accommodations, or for schools for accommodations. And I think it's helpful to see the full picture. Simultaneously, I'm actually healing from a lot of these things, because there's a lot of work that I'm doing. Half the battle is finding out that I have autism, and then working through life through the lens of autism and re-regulating my nervous system. My diagnosis says I am high functioning, but I would argue at the time of my diagnosis, I just wasn't functioning. In fact, my stomach wasn't functioning. My bladder wasn't functioning. My nerves were over functioning. My movement was very limited and I couldn't function, right? So I was not functioning, but on the scale of autism, I'm considered high functioning. And what I'm trying to articulate here is that luckily I'm healing from a lot of this, and things are getting a lot better. And I think I am moving towards a state of high functioning. And when I have been in moments of high functioning, when there were eras of my life where my body wasn't on fire, I do a lot of really cool things that I'm proud of. There's a lot of really cool things that I look back and I'm like, damn, that was definitely my autism that made me do some badass stuff, you know? And I think autism can have a really dark side to it. And also autism can have a beautiful side to it. And part of my lived experience is kind of just, sometimes I'm pushed to this side and I'm trying to work to be pushed to the other side. And I think that that should be displayed in the paperwork. You know, what does this person experience when their nervous system's dysregulated? What does this person experience when their nervous system's regulated? Because the symptoms will look different, or the intensities will look different, or the sensitivity, right? Or what does it look like when they've gone 15 years with no diagnosis? What's the state of their body? So I just think that would be important, very helpful. So yeah, that's all. Thanks for watching. Take care.